Hello, this is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. And in this particular video, I'm going to be talking about citations for academic writing and how to cite a particular article or how to cite articles. This is part of my Monday Write series I put out for writers. I'm a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, so I do a tremendous amount of writing, and that's really what the whole Reciprocity project is about and why I created this sharing economy proofreading platform, was to help out other people that are experiencing the same difficulties that I personally experienced with getting feedback on their writing. So in this particular video, what I'm going to get into is not your basic understanding of how to actually cite an academic article, right? So using MLA versus APA and what those look like. You know, that stuff's kind of nitty gritty, and not to discount it or anything, but what you have to do is use some sort of citation manager of some sort. I do have a video on that, or just, go onto a website and find that. It's really kind of menial work, right? And there's so many more important ideas that I would like to share rather than just kind of like the basics. So in this idea, why do we actually cite articles, or why do we cite other people's articles? Well, the basic understanding that we are typically taught, and that's kind of nailed down into our heads, is that we're trying to give some sort of credibility to somebody else, right? That we're honoring somebody else's work. There's also sort of academic integrity issues, plagiarism kind of thing, right? Which is, you can run into legal concerns with that, or, and it does happen from time to time. It's really not that common, but it does happen. But the more important thing is you're helping somebody else out because they had this incredible idea, and you should be citing them and sort of referencing what they're doing, right? But there's more to it than that, and this comes from me. I'm a professor of innovation, so I study, or I've thought about patents and stuff like that. And there's lots of people in the innovation literature have looked at patents. And if you don't know, patents work almost identically to citing how how academic work works, right? So when you have a patent, you have to cite other people's prior patents. That's called prior art, and that's how you build sort of the case for your particular patent. And when you're thinking about papers, for example, there's a lot more to it than just giving somebody else credibility for their work. What you're trying to do actually, and this is the more important thing when you're citing somebody else's work and thinking about citations for academic writing, is you are building a case for your own work, right? And that's what you forget if you're not citing somebody else's work. It's not that you are, trying to benefit somebody else. It's benefiting you tremendously if you are citing properly and you're thinking about how to actually cite this work. And I'm not the only one. I know that there's lots of other people. They think really incredibly hard how to actually, and this is part of being an academic, is how to actually cite appropriately and credibly, because there's a lot of ideas out there. So you can think of, when you are an academic and you're studying something, there is infinite number of ideas out there, an infinite number of people that have worked on similar kind of ideas. So you have to pick and choose from all of these different ideas and how to arrange them and combine them in the right way, such that you build a credible case for the argument that you're trying to build. Right, so it's really important not to sort of think about it as like, oh, I'm benefiting somebody else. No, you're benefiting yourself by citing in the most appropriate way. So a couple examples. I know who's a legitimate person and who's a legitimate academic simply by how they're citing and what they're citing. So if I know that somebody is citing a textbook or citing a newspaper, unless it's just really kind of briefly, I'm probably going to discount it because I know that they're not legitimate in any sort of way because they haven't read the academic work that's available. that there is so many academic articles that are out there that are really important. I know if they're legitimate by the journal articles that they are referencing and that they're citing. So if they're looking at and they're citing kind of not legitimate sources, being the International Journal of Basket Weaving and Computational Science, right? Like if it's something that's ridiculous, I'm going to be like, this person is out to lunch and I'm going to discount that paper instantly. And it's going to be one of those things. I'm going to totally discount it and I'm not going to give that particular idea any sort of credibility. But if you're citing mostly really rigorous stuff and sort of complicated ideas, if there's a really complicated idea out there that is really pertinent and somebody cites it, and then they cite kind of one kind of illegitimate journal article, because sometimes that happens, right? That there is an illegitimate journal article in some kind of weird situation place that makes sense, but they just couldn't get it published in some sort of a way. I'm going to say, this person is really legitimate because they found that particular weird article, but they are building on this case from really legitimate people, and it makes a really strong case for what they're doing. So citations and understanding the sort of citation network signals, it's a really strong signal to how important your work is and how legitimate your work is. It's not about giving credibility to somebody else. It's about thinking about how credible your own work is and the story that you're building is. And that's what you have to get around. And in fact, there's tons of people in this area of sort of innovations and understanding how science works that they look at these sort of citation networks and looking to see at how people cite other people that are out there. And we use that as a strength of understanding how legitimate a particular article is. If there's lots of people citing one particular article, then we say that's sort of central to the academic literature. If we say that one article has a really long history of people citing, that it dates back, lots of people have cited it for many different years, then we say that's a really sort of important or academic breakthrough. All of this stuff is really important in terms of understanding the citation network. And this originally started, this understanding of how credible your article and your ideas are, really started with us understanding patent data. And then it sort of flowed into us understanding academic work and academic citations. So in order to build a case and make your paper more stronger, and to make you seem a lot more legitimate, what you have to do is think about how to actually cite and think about the sort of citation thing. Because what you're trying to do is you're actually kind of trying to build a genetic history of ideas. What you're trying to do is actually go through and show that you have, this idea is sort of floated throughout time, right? And you look at the sort of citations that have happened over time. And we talk about sort of forward citations, those are the ones that are citing your work, and backward citations, the ones that that you cited, and we can sort of build a case on how strong your particular ideas are. So this means citing really broadly sometimes can hurt you, right? Because if you're citing really broadly and you're citing all these kind of crazy ideas, it kind of doesn't really work unless you have some sort of theoretical model or theoretical understanding that has really broad implications, which is often not the case. That does not happen in general. That's going to sort of give you, that's going to discount your own work. So you can't really cite really broadly, but you want to cite something really closely clustered for the most part. But then if there's other people that are citing you that are really broad, then, those sort of forward citations that are happening, all the ones that are citing your particular work, but it's really broad, then that suggests that it's a really important breakthrough in what you're trying to do. So thinking about the citations is a lot more important than what you think it is. It's not just about honoring other people's work. It's honoring and building a case for your own credibility. So automatically, I know as a researcher how important your work is by looking to see at how you're citing and who's citing you. And that's a really important thing to get around, right? To get your head wrapped around. And that takes a long time to sort of get your head wrapped around in terms of how to actually cite properly. So that's all I really wanted to talk about with this particular paper, or this particular, you see my mind's there. But this particular video is to make sure that you're understanding how citations actually truly work for academic writing. It's not just about thinking about the stupid, I shouldn't use that word, the silly formatting of, APA versus MLA or anything like that. What it is about is thinking about how your work fits in with other people's work, right? And that's really incredibly important. So thank you so much. Take care. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next video. Oh, by the way, make sure you give me a thumbs up if you like this video, or subscribe. I do appreciate it. All right. Take care. Bye.